How you doing, Charlie? Thank you for coming out today. I think I'm going to be the first disagreement. So,
thanks for being here.
Thank you. My question is, so during the presidential campaigns, Trump and Republicans criticized Biden by saying that he was going to be soft on China. So far, I just wanted to list out some things that he's done against China and then get your opinion on that. So he condemned the Uyghur genocide right off the bat, Secretary Blinken did. And he's waging a tech war with China right now by reevaluating our supply lines of microchip production so we're not relying on China. As of 5 hours ago, they've raised the idea of boycotting the Olympics in China. And he's raised the idea of a conference of democracies to curb Chinese expansion, whether that be military or influential, like what they're doing in neocolonialism in Africa. And this isn't something that's different for Biden. He has a history of supporting genocide victims. So if you take a look at what he's done with the Bosniaks in Bosnia when he supported them in the war, or the Albanians in Kosovo, I mean, he has a really strong history of standing with oppressed people. So do you think these criticisms now that you know all these things that he's doing, do you think they're sort of falling flat, at least with the China thing?
Is that the whole list?
No, there's more. I just wanted to pick like as many as I could in 20 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Has he called China our enemy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's implied.
No, he hasn't. He said it's rival.
I think it's implied that if he wants to stop Chinese expansion, they're an adversary of the United States.
No, he said they're a rival. Has he called China our enemy?
I think that's just a semantic argument.
No, it's not. He said, I refuse to call them an enemy because they're an economic rival. Let me ask you another question. Has he signed an executive order trying to close Confucius Institutes in America?
The Confucius Institutes is an ongoing debate right now, so we'll have to
No, it's a very simple debate. They're military institutions on college campuses, and Joe Biden supports them in America. Let me ask you another question. Does he support tariffs on imported Chinese goods, yes or no?
He supports a tech war. Tariffs?
No, tariffs. Answer the question.
Probably not, no.
Okay, right, so that's soft on China. When Blinken went up to Alaska to meet with China, did he even respond when China made a fool of our country and said we're a bunch of racist bigots, according to our own language? Did he respond to that?
Yes, they did.
How?
Well, they replied to it.
By admitting it and basically saying to China, you know what, you're right, we have a lot of problems to correct.
But we always correct them. For example, the civil rights. I mean, look how far we came from the Civil War.
Are you comparing what's happening right now to Jim Crow, the 1960s?
No, I'm saying we have a dark history, but we've come far from it.
I agree with that. So let me just ask another couple questions, because has Joe Biden supported military movements in the South China Sea or stood with the people of Taiwan as the Chinese Communist Party has threatened Taiwan to obliterate them off the face of the earth? No, they haven't.
Yes,
no, they haven't. So Taiwan has been singled out for destruction, and Joe Biden has done nothing to stand with the people of Taiwan. Let me ask you another question. Let me ask you a question. Has Joe Biden explained the now revealed emails that show that he's probably a 10% holder in a Chinese Communist Party company, thanks to Tony Bobulinski? Has Joe Biden explained that?
If they want to go to court for that, they can. If
No. I'm asking has Joe Biden explained that he's probably a minority partner in a Chinese Communist Party company?
He doesn't have to explain it until he's formally accused of it in a court of law. I think unsubstantiated claims shouldn't be entertained.
No, it's substantiated. It's a laptop that was owned by his son.
Well, why don't they take it to court?
They are. And so let me ask you another question, though. So your basic premise is Joe Biden's totally tough on China, everything. Yeah, that's basically your contention.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the premise was that he's going to be extremely soft. But
no, he's beyond soft. He's owned by China. He's not just soft on China. He's a subsidiary of the Chinese Communist Party. He's an employee of the Chinese Communist Party. So everything Xi Jinping wants, we are doing. He is pandering to racial division in our country. He's emasculating our military. He's caring more about wokeism than military excellence. He does nothing in the South China Sea. He's not putting any additional tariffs. In fact, he's trying to repeal them that Donald Trump put on steel and solar panels for imports into America. Joe Biden is doing the bidding of Xi Jinping at every single turn. So let me ask you just another couple questions. Has Joe Biden in any way, shape, or form condemned the Belt and Road Initiative, or has Joe Biden admitted that the virus came from China?
The Belt and Road Initiative would be covered under that curbing Chinese expansion, which I mentioned earlier. I think you're trying to play a very semantic game right now with, did he condemn this specifically when he broadly condemns general expansion?
What you call semantics, I call truth, because language is the way that we communicate values with one another. So let me ask you this question. Has Joe Biden admitted that the Chinese coronavirus came from the Wuhan Institute of Virology?
If evidence shows that, he will
No,
admit
has Joe Biden even mentioned the fact that this virus came? You're wearing a mask up to your eyeballs.
Yeah.
Is that because of China or not?
Well, I think it did come from China, but where it came from originally in China,
So
whether it
let
was
me ask you a
natural or
question.
man-made,
What has Joe
is still
Biden done to
debate.
hold China accountable for the greatest epidemiological Pearl Harbor in American history?
We'll have to see. It's only like 2
Okay,
months
we'll
into
have to
his
see.
presidency.
So well, let me get this straight. China invokes an epidemiological Pearl Harbor,
Yep.
and we'll have to see.
I have a question for you though over that. Trump, in return, in the Taiwan, 2 questions. Taiwan.
We're talking about the virus. I would like your
Yeah, I
answer.
know.
The virus is really important.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Obviously, you take it seriously, and so is China to blame?
I think China is to blame. Yeah.
Why can't Joe Biden say that?
Because it's a very diplomatic issue. He has to wait until the evidence is there. It's before he can
It's
make
a diplomatic issue. Could you imagine after Pearl Harbor, Franklin Delano Roosevelt? You know, it's a diplomatic issue that Pearl Harbor was bombed.
I think it was clear that the Japanese intentionally attacked Pearl Harbor, but whether the Chinese intentionally, which I believe they did, by the way, I believe they did.
Okay.
But until there's evidence to support that can be globally spread, I think it's irresponsible of Biden to make a statement on it. I think he's waiting for the facts to get out.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's stunning. So you wanted to make a point about Taiwan.
Yeah, so you said, has he condemned the Chinese aggression against Taiwan? And yes, in the town hall, he mentioned that he condemns the Chinese trying to violate the one China or the two China policy with China and Taiwan. He condemned it in the town hall. And then I also wanted to ask you one follow-up question with Trump.
Yeah.
Trump, in an Axios report, allegedly, gave the Chinese a green light for their actions in Hong Kong and the Uyghur genocide in exchange for better leverage in his trade deal, which ultimately flopped, I believe.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
It's not true.
Well, I mean,
Well, first I said allegedly and reportedly.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump was more tough on China than any other president in American history. And he was unafraid to call it the China virus. Joe Biden has always been very close to China. He said that, quote, China's rise is a good thing for America. Can you explain, I'm curious, take as much time as you need, if you have any problem with the president's son flying on Air Force Two with Chinese bank officials and returning on Air Force Two with $2 billion in an investment fund? Does that bother you?
so when I just mentioned allegedly and reportedly, you denied it as being fake.
It's not true. Like I don't
It's
know.
not true. I agree.
But
As
guess
long
what?
as it's
Joe
long as it's
Biden's
alleged.
president, so let's focus on who's in charge
exactly,
right now.
exactly.
Right?
As
So
long as
is
it's
Hunter
alleged,
Biden,
yeah.
like, can you explain that for me? Because I'm really interested.
Yeah, so all of those things are also allegations, right? And it's kind of
No.
hypocritical for you
I
to
just said
uphold one but
facts.
not the
I didn't
other.
say that there was pay to play. I said
They're
we
not
know
facts.
because of flight logs, Air Force Two, Chinese bank officials go on with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden.
They're not facts, though.
They fly to China, and 2 days later he returns with $2 billion. Does that bother you?
But that's not a fact. If that is allegedly what happened.
You're
if, out
entitled
of
to your
good
own
faith,
opinion, not
out
your
of-
own facts. So tell me where I was wrong with that.
Out of good faith, if that is allegedly true, I have a problem with that, yes.
Well, then you should
But
do a lot more research, man, because that's just the tip of the iceberg of the Biden crime family.
They should bring it before court.
I'm sorry?
They should bring it before a court of law and test it in court.
No.
I don't know why they're so afraid of courts. I mean, they
No.
lost.
Well-
They lost all of their election
Well,
lawsuits.
first of all, they're
too.
not afraid of courts. Second of all, we have a weaponized and politicized Department of Justice in our country. And, oh, by the way, Hunter Biden is under active federal criminal investigation right now. We'll see how that one works out. So I have another question. You call it semantics. I call it very important that he doesn't call it a rival or an enemy. You say the Confucius Institutes is something that is yet to be debated, even though Joe Biden has done nothing against it. The bigger question I guess I have when it comes to the Chinese issue, do you think Joe Biden is better equipped to handle China than Donald Trump was?
Yeah.
I would love to ask another question. Did you vote for Joe Biden?
Yeah, but I was a Republican for 4 years.
Okay.
I switched to Democrats
No,
about
don't
3
boo,
months
don't
ago.
boo, don't boo. No. Yeah, I know. Okay, that's fine. Why did you vote for Joe Biden? This is important. It's important. Why did you vote?
Specifically for his foreign policy, and because I believe that Donald Trump was doing a lot of damage to the country,
Okay,
foreign policy-wise.
So foreign policy. I'm just curious because I don't get to actually a chance to talk to Biden voters very often. So it's kind of like meeting wow. Did you think Donald Trump did a good thing with the Abraham Accords, with the historic peace deal with Israel, UAE, Bahrain, and Sudan? Was that a good thing for the country?
for the governments of the Gulf states and for the government of Israel, it might have been a good thing, but I don't think it solves any issues with people in the region.
Okay. Was it a good thing that Donald Trump was the first president of both of you and I lifetime to end endless wars and not declare a new war?
I think I think the idea of an endless war is something that's pushed by more isolationist groups. I don't agree with ending endless wars. I think the United States has a duty to the world to act as the quote-unquote global policeman, and to stop things like active genocides going on.
So you're okay with Afghanistan just perpetually happening? No, guys, show some respect. Guys, please. Guys, come on. Don't act like college campus leftists, please, okay? Seriously. Let him an opportunity to speak. I'm letting him finish his thoughts. I'm curious. So you think that you voted for Joe Biden for foreign policy.
Yeah.
So not starting new wars was not like a game changer.
I mean, I come from a country. I came here as a refugee
from the Balkan Peninsula, I'm guessing.
Yes, from Bosnia.
The way you described,
because there was a war there,
issue.
and it was McCain, Lieberman, Biden, and Dole that were the advocates of sending U.S. troops to Bosnia. And if it wasn't for the U.S. sending airstrikes to Bosnia, I wouldn't be in the United States. I'd be in a mass grave. So I don't think wars are inherently bad when they're fought against bad people.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. I would also contest that. What does victory look like in Afghanistan?
A stable democratic government.
Okay, that's where you and I are going to have clarity, but not agreement tonight. The role of the United States military is not to institute democratic governments across the world. It's to protect the American people. That's the mission number one. I want to get some other questions. Let me just ask one other thing though, so I'm interested. Did I say anything in regards to the Chinese issue that you have never heard before with Joe Biden and Donald Trump?
No, I know about all of the issues. I just haven't really looked into the Confucius Institute stuff yet. But I'm waiting to see more stuff come up.
So I want to thank you for coming and asking these questions. I'm going to say this though: when you look objectively at how Hunter Biden received cash payments from Chinese state bank oligarchs, the $2 billion, Joe Biden probably owning a 10% of a Chinese Communist Party company based on Tony Bobulinski, former business partner's own remarks. Joe Biden saying it's a good thing when China gets stronger. If you actually cared about holding China accountable, I think a fair reading of the facts, you'll realize that Joe Biden is a wholly owned subsidiary of our greatest enemy, the Chinese Communist Party. But I do want to thank you for your boldness in being here tonight, and I appreciated the conversation. Thank you.